and welcome to Craic With Mc. This is Paul McCann, the host of the show. Wherever you are this evening, thanks for your company. If you're in a bar, if you're in a car, if you're having a shower, wherever you are, it's great to have your company. I'll be with you for the next 2 hours with some nice poetry and music and lots of little fill-ins in between. The first piece of music this evening I'd like to present to you is from John Donne, Celtic historian, and from his album entitled Era, the Isle of Saints, is a piece entitled Yeats County, Where William Lies. Modern day Irish composer based in New York. He puts together some compositions etched into the legends of Ireland, and this one here once again is called Yeats County. Following this piece by John Donne that he plays on this beautiful 20-stringed lyre kind of guitar harp instrument, a very ancient instrument that he's been able to discover. He plucks it like a harp and plays it too like a guitar. Very nice sound. After he plays this piece for you, Yeats County, we'll have a listen to a piece of poetry written by Yeats, Never Give All the Heart. And it's read by Andrea Corr from Dundalk, from the Irish Contemporary Music Band, the Corrs, and she will recite the piece, Never Give All the Heart. And after that, we'll have a listen to a piece of music from the band Altan from Donegal. And the piece we'll have a listen to is called Mo Cathal. And then we'll have, after that, another piece of poetry for you on the programme. And it's read by himself, William Butler Yeats. And it's the Lake Isle of Innisfree. So there we are, just to get us going this evening on the show. Let's have a listen to John Donne from the Island of Saints.
Never Give All the Heart by William Butler Yeats. Never give all the heart, for love will hardly seem worth thinking of to passionate women if it seems certain, and they never dream that it fades out from kiss to kiss. For everything that's lovely is but a brief, dreamy, kind delight. Oh, never give the heart outright. For they, for all smooth lips can say, have given their hearts up to the play, and who could play it well enough if deaf and dumb and blind with love? He that made this knows all the cost, for he gave all his heart and lost.
The chaskali prehanse chir, stasha skrivi arawad. Or malicheram so fast, agus galtan sa post. Stumo kal, stumo kal kanya Du moja du hanu asra du vesla Jokin long and sakwa skarishi swas majrulan No ara
with a poem of mine called The Late Isle of Innisfree, because if you know anything about me, you will expect me to begin with it. It is the only poem of mine which is very widely known. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always, night and day, I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core.
The sound of William Butler Yeats reciting a piece that he wrote himself, which was the Lake Isle of Innisfree. What a wonderful talent from a man who was a solicitor and gave it all away to write poetry. That's a true calling, and I suppose these days most people are chasing after money and trying to, better themselves financially, where William Butler Yeats went the other way and left his dreams of wealth for dreams of poetry and the written word. He was born in 1865, and he passed away in 1909. He was an Irish poet, one of the foremost figures of 20th century literature, pillar of wisdom and knowledge from the Irish side, and merged into other works with the Abbey Theatre that he founded. And in the later years, he went on to serve as a senator of the Irish Free State for 2 terms. He was the driving force behind much of the literary revival in the beginning of the 19th century. So, along with many other people, he left a legacy of work behind. Let's have a listen now to a piece called The Return from Fingal, an Ancient Air, which was recorded and put in an album, The Boston Skyline. This piece is quite haunting and quite a very old air. Following that, we might have a listen to The Blood of Cuchulainn from the Celtic Heart Space collection. This is off the Michael Dana and Jeff Dana piece, Cuchulainn, The Blood of Cuchulainn. First up, this one here, The Return from Fingal. Yeah, that's the Blood of Cahalan there from Michael and Jeff Dana. And next up in the programme is a piece called The Greening of Belfast. It's a lovely piece from Michael Card, who portrays this vision or image of Ireland and the troubled north in Belfast, where so many innocent people had lost their lives during the troubled conflict years from 68 through to the peace process in 96. That there were so many angels hovering over Belfast, hoping for peace and praying for peace, because God loves those people that had suffered so much during the troubled years, the innocent ones that had lost their lives. So it's portrayed very well in this piece by Michael Card. Following that, a piece of poetry from poet Michael Gorman. The people I grew up with were afraid, and it's read by Pauline Malin, and nice piece as well. So 2 in a row. We begin it now with this one from Michael Card.
In a green, green land, riding on the sea, live a people who speak like a song. But their fertile field lies so fallow and bare, and has borne bitter fruit for so long. Pray for the greening of Belfast, that what is now barren might bloom and be fair. God loves the city of Belfast, for so many children who love him live there. So many children who love him live there. Strong arms embrace a heartbreaking, heartbroken town. With the air so full of angels there, it's not hard to imagine the sound of their cries and tears, of their pleas and prayers, for their city to know peace once more. Let the fighting cease, let the saints be released to join in true spiritual war. Pray for the greening of Belfast, that what is now barren might bloom and be fair. God loves the city of Belfast, for so many children who love him live there. So many children who love him live there. So pray for the greening
The People I Grew Up With Were Afraid by Michael Gorman. The people I grew up with were afraid. They were alone too long in waiting rooms, in dispensaries and in offices whose functions they did not understand. To buck themselves up, they thought of lost causes, of nature boy O.D. who tried to fly from his bedroom window, of the hunchbacked little typist who went roller skating at Strand Hill. Or they relived the last afternoon of Benny Kirwan, pale, bald, Protestant shop assistant in Lyons's drapery. One Wednesday, the town's half day, he hanged himself from a tree on the shore at Lough Gill. And what were they afraid of? Rent collectors, rate collectors, insurance men. Things to do with money, but especially of their vengeful God. On her deathbed, Ina Phelan prayed that her son would cut his hair. Sometimes they returned to me. Summer lunchtimes, Colcannon for the boys, back doors of all the houses open, the news blaring on the radios. Our mother's factory pay packet is sitting in the kitchen press, and our father, without humour or relief, is waiting for the sky to fall.
You're tuned to Craic With Mc. My name is Paul McCann, the host of the show. Thank you for your company this evening on the programme, where you are listening to the show. It's great to have your company. That piece was from the John Donne Island of Saints CD. Some lovely pieces on that instrument, the 12-stringed harp guitar. I'd like to play a piece here for you on the show, which is, of course, a W.B. Yeats piece that was written by him, and it's translated into music from the album Now and a Time to Be, which is a musical celebration of the works of William Butler Yeats. This particular piece that I'd like to play for you is from Christie Moore, and he's singing the song of the Argus, the Whispering Argus. It's something else when you can get a poet from a long time ago and brought back to life, if you like, by musicians and putting music to the words. So we're going to have a listen to Christie Moore's version of the Song of the Whispering Argus for your pleasure on Craic With Mc. And following that, I'd like to present to you a poem called Father and Son, written by F.R. Higgins, Irish poet, and read by Irish actor Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan has, I guess, been best known for many of his movies that he did when he was James Bond 007. His work includes less known movies, of course. Dante's Peak, he was in that, and the Thomas Crown Affair. He's also in one of the modern day musicals, Mamma Mia, the new modern Mamma Mia rehash, back again. So Pierce is actually singing in the new movie by Mamma Mia. So Father and Son is a nice piece read by Pierce Brosnan from Irish poet F.R. Higgins for your pleasure, coming up shortly after we listen to Christie Moore singing the work of William Butler Yeats, the Song of the Whispering Argus. Many poets, of course, give up their lives to writing poetry, and this is a calling, I suppose you would call it, in life they have had to promote the gift they have, and in many senses of the word, to promote Ireland as a nation. And F.H. Higgins, the poet, he was from County Mayo, and he was influenced in his life by the Irish literary revival, which William Butler Yeats was a big part of. He was born in 1896 and passed away in 1941. And he was closely connected to William Butler Yeats during his life, and Austin Clarke. He contributed to many reviews to back at the time the poetry of his friends and companions. And for your pleasure, we'll have a listen to one of his works after this piece here from Christie Moore, for your pleasure.
I went down to the Hazelwood because the fire was in my head. I cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and hooked a little silver throat. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame when something rustled on the floor and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom
Father and Son. F.R. Higgins. Only last week, walking the hushed fields of our most lovely Meath, now thinned by November, I came to where the road from Laracor leads to the Boyne River, that seemed more like lake than river, stretched in uneasy light and stripped of reeds. And walking alongside an old weir of my people's, where nothing stirs, only the shadowed leaden flight of a heron up the lean air, I went unmanly with grief, knowing how my father, happy though captive in years, walked last with me there. Yes, happy in Meath, with me for a day he walked, taking stock of herds hid in their own breathing, and naming colts, gusty as wind, once steered by his hand. Lightnings winked in the eyes that were half shy in greeting old friends, the wild blades, when he gallivanted the land. For that proud, wayward man now my heart breaks for that man whose mind was a secret eyrie, whose hand was sole signet of his race, who curbed me, scorned my green ways, yet increasingly loved me, till death drew its grey blind down his face. And yet I am pleased that even my reckless ways are living shades of his rich calms and passions, witnesses for him and for those faint namesakes with whom now he is one under yew branches. Yes, one in a graven silence no bird breaks.
That's a piece there, written by F.H. Higginson, recited by Pierce Brosnan, Irish actor. Next up, Van Morrison from Belfast, and from his Avalon Sunset album, which is a beautiful piece. The whole album is filled with wonder. We're going to listen to Orange Field, which is where Van Morrison was born in Belfast, a place called Orange Field, and Geordie Best as well. George Best, a famous Belfast footballer. He was also born in Belfast, a very famous suburb, or a very famous part of Belfast.
On a golden autumn day, you came my way in Orange Field. So you're standing by the riverside in Orange Field. I loved you then in Orange Field, like I love you now throne of Ulster Gate. You came my way in Lawrenceville. So you're standing by the riverside in Lawrenceville. I loved you there in Lawrenceville. Like I love you now in Lawrenceville. How I loved you there in Lawrenceville. Like I love you now in Lawrenceville.
Winter Birds. From the cliffs of northern Greenland, the black-breasted geese come down to graze on the wind-bitten sedges of Inishkay. They land in October, exhausted, bringing with them their almost grown young. No one on these shores could ever find their nests, so in early times it was concluded that they had hatched from the pupa-shaped goose barnacle. Being fish, they could be eaten on Friday. In April they gather, restless, broody, fatted on the scant grasses of a continent's margin, ready to leave for breeding grounds in Greenland's tundra. Watching that nervous strut and clamour, a tuning orchestra raucous before the signal, to rise on the wind in a harmony old as hunger. The name grips somewhere else. My father's talk of winter birds in his class in South Donegal. The name his schoolmaster had given to big boys who sat in the back seats. Back from the Lagan or Scotland, already seasoned, their migratory patterns set.
Piece of poetry there from Irish writer Moria Cannon. And Moya is quite a renowned Irish writer these days. She's been involved with a selection of works. She's from Donegal, studied at University College in Dublin and also at the Corpus Christi College in Cambridge. She taught in the Gaeltacht at Inishkay and at a school there of adolescent teachers who were coming there for broadening their aspects about things in Galway. She also taught at the National University of Ireland in Galway, and she served as the editor of the Poetry Ireland in 1995. Many of her works have appeared at various educational facilities and various anthologies, and she has been writer in residence there at Kerry County and University in Ontario. That piece there you had to listen to was Winter Birds from Moria Cannon, Irish author. A lovely song coming up next from a great singer from Belfast, Cara Dillon, and this one is The Lark in the Clear Air.
Thoughts are in my mind, and my soul, its soul's enchanted as I hear the sweet lark sing in the clear air of the day. For a tender beaming smile to my hope has been granted, and tomorrow he shall hear all my fond heart longs to say. I will tell him all my love, all my soul's pure adoration. It's this that gives my soul all its joyous elation as I hear the sweet lark sing in the clear air of the day.
Next up on the show, we've got the Wolf Tones. That's the Carlin's favourite there, from the Wolf Tones and their album Sing Out for Ireland. We've got a track coming up next on the show, and it's from McGraden's Rownale, and it's The Spanish Lady, for your pleasure on Craic With Mc.
As I was walking through Dublin city, about the hour of 12 at night, it was there I saw a fair pretty female washing her feet by candlelight. First she washed them, then she dried them over a fire of ambry coals, and in all my life I never did see a maid so neat about the soles. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 now. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. I stopped to look, but the watchman passed. Says he, young fella, now the night is late, and along with you home or I wrestle you straight away to the Bridewell gate. I got to look from the Spanish lady, hot as a fire of ambry coals, and in all my life I never did see a maid so neat about the soles. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 now. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. As I walked back through Dublin city, as the dawn of day was on, oh, whom should I spy but the Spanish lady, when I was weary and footsore. She had a heart so filled with loving, and her love she longed to share. a maid who had so much to spare. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 now. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. I have wandered north and I've wandered south, by Stony Batter and Patrick's Close, and up and around by the Gloucester Diamond Park, by Napper Tandy's house. But old age has laid her hand upon thee, cold as a fire of ashy coals, and gone is the lovely Spanish lady, neat and sweet about the soles. Round and around goes the wheel of fortune, where a dress now wearies me. Oh, fair young maids are so deceiving, sad experience teaches me. She had 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 now. She had 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1.
Next up on the programme on Craic With Mc this evening, I'm going to present another piece from John Donne, Celtic historian, Sunset from a Distant Castle, played on his 20-stringed harp guitar, followed by a piece of poetry from Pat Buran, who wrote this lovely piece, Heart to Be My Heart. It's read by Shay Healy on the show this evening. And thanks for your company on Craic With Mc. It's a delight to have you with me. I hope you can stay around until the end of the show this evening. There's still lots more stuff happening on the programme. Also want to thank the people who contacted me this evening on the show. I'm just adjusting the microphone here. It's kind of nearly fallen off, the stand thing. But, the people that wrote to me during the week and were asking me about some of the other places in Ireland that you can go to have a look at. And I should be getting a job for the Irish Tourist Board, shouldn't I? And I was giving them a rough idea of the festivals that you can catch around Ireland, the music festivals. And they just get back to me and they were telling me they had such a nice time in Cork and Galway with some of the music festivals while they were over in Ireland. So that's really nice. You get nice feedback sometimes. Okay, where were we? So Sunset, from a Distant Castle, from John Donne. Yeah, that was Sunset from a Distant Castle. And that piece there from John Donne. Pat Boran, a contemporary Irish poet from Portlaoise in Dublin. And his piece we're going to listen to in Heart to Be All the Heart. And this one here is quite interesting from a modern day perspective of Irish poetry. You can kind of get a gauge on where poets of today are coming from as they write their works and their inspirations compared to, the poets of the turn of the 19th, 20th century when Ireland was steeped in troubled times and war and also in depression. So I guess more romantic poetry was being written today, for the want of a better word. Modern day, if you want, romance writers have lended their hands. And some of that work as well lends into their love for Ireland. Pat Boran, Heart to Be My Heart, read by Shay Neely. And it's a bit of an example of how that tends to happen through history's, portals of time when things are going on and writers are left to leave a legacy for generations to come, whatever they're going through at that particular time. Pat was the publisher of Daladus Press for a number of years, and they specialise in contemporary poetry in Ireland and also international poetry in English language translation, which I'm going to actually feature shortly in the programme, a piece translated into the English from Gaelic, from the Irish Gaelic language. Dark Rosaleen is the piece, and it's translated by James Magnan. But we're focusing here on Heart to Be My Heart from Pat Boran. Pat's also had many other publications like The Unwound Clock in 1990, History and Promise 1991, Familiar Things 1993, The Shape of Water in 1996, As the Hand, the Glove 2001, and 2012, The Next Life. His seasonal selected poems in 2005, and it runs right through to Waveforms, Bull Island Haiku in 2015. So he is a modern day Irish poet. The writer, as I say, is quite intrigued by other writers and tries to give them a leg up and through his Daladus Press publications. Shay Neely is going to recite the piece, and she started out on the RTE, working there, and in the 60s, and she went on to do some singing and recording. So let's have a listen to this one, and then after that we'll have a piece of music from Altan, and then we'll have that track I was telling you about, which was translated from the Gaelic into the English language, Dark Rosaleen, from Owen Machward, and translated by James Clarence Morgan, and read by Michael Higgins. Before that, though, we've got this one.
How to Be My Heart by Pat Boran. Become elastic. Enjoy the solo sound as well as harmony. Enjoy the fall. Don't expect ground. Never move, but never quite be still. See life as giving rather than receiving, though the same blood passes through your grasp like rosaries, geometries, bound infinities of love. Be practical. Work. Keep the orchestra on course, but imagine the clouds, the skies you'll never see. Learn trust. Don't mutiny when I wade up to my chest in water. Don't panic if I succumb to drugs or drink. Don't sink. Don't ache at every recollection of a past populated by grief. Don't succumb to disbelief. Don't see only darkness up ahead. Don't stay in bed all day. don't lie down and die. Be there when I need the heart to tell the unpalatable truth or the necessary lie. And give me the sensation of skydiving when she so much as walks into my sight. Make hemoglobin while the sun shines, but keep a little oxygen aside.
Rosaline, written by Onro MacWard, translated by James Clarence Mangan. Dark Rosaline, O my dark Rosaline, do not sigh, do not weep. The priests are on the ocean green, they march along the deep. There's wine from the royal pope upon the ocean green, and Spanish ale shall give you hope, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. Shall glad your heart, shall give you hope, shall give you health and help and hope, my dark Rosaline. Over hills and through dales have I roamed for your sake. All yesterday I sailed with sails on river and on lake. The Erne at its highest flood I dashed across unseen, for there was lightning in my blood, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. Oh, there was lightning in my blood, red lightning lightened through my blood, my dark Rosaline. All day long in unrest to and fro do I move, the very soul within my breast is wasted for your love. The heart in my bosom faints to think of you, my queen, my life of life, my saint of saints, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline, to hear your sweet and sad complaints, to my life, my love, my saint of saints, my dark Rosaline. Woe and pain, pain and woe, are my lot night and noon, to see your bright face clouded so, like to the mournful moon. And yet will I rear your throne again in golden sheen. 'Tis you shall reign alone, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. 'Tis you shall have the golden throne, 'tis you shall reign and reign alone, my dark Rosaline. Over dews, over sands will I fly for your wheel. Your holy delicate white hands shall girdle me with steel. At home in your emerald bowers, from morning's dawn till e'en, you'll pray for me, my flower of flowers, my dark Rosaline, my fond Rosaline. You'll think of me through daylight's hours, my virgin flower, my flower of flowers, my dark Rosaline. I could scale the blue air, I could plough the high hills, oh, I could kneel all night in prayer to heal your many ills. And one beamy smile from you would float like light between my toils and me, my own, my true, my dark Rosaline, my fond Rosaline, would give me life and soul anew, a second life, a soul anew, my dark Rosaline. Oh, the urn shall run red with redundance of blood, the earth shall rock beneath our tread, and flames wrap hill and wood, and gun peal and slogan cry wake many a glen serene, ere you shall fade, ere you shall die, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. The judgment hour must first be nigh, ere you can fade, ere you can die, my dark Rosaline.
The leafy island, where flapping herons wake the drowsy water rats. There we hid our fairy vats, full of berries and the reddest stolen cherries. Come away, human child, to the water. Child, to the water and the wild, with the fairy hand in hand. For the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim grey sands with light, far off by further strasses, we footed all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances, till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap, chasing frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles, and is anxious in its sleep. Come away, human child, to the water.
child to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand. For the world's more full of weeping than you can understand.
Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, and pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star. We seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears, we give them in quiet dreams. Leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. He is going, the solemn-eyed. He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on a warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob around and around the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child,
to the water. He comes,
the human child,
to the water and the wild,
with the fairy hand in hand. From a world more full of weeping,
from a world more full of weeping
than he can understand.
Human child, human child. With a fairy hand in hand, from a world more full of weeping than you can understand. Than you can understand. Than you can understand.
You're tuned to Craic With Mc. My name is Paul McCann, the host of the show. That was The Stolen Child, words by William Butler Yeats, and it was performed there by the Waterboys. Put the music and taken forward another century and given a new life, The Stolen Child. The Irish has many proverbs, you know. We live with little bits of wisdom and wit. Here's a one that describes the Irish beggar's coat. It's a bundle of holes all sewn together. Yeah, that was a wee bit there. A song of the North, The Sash My Father Wore, which is often played on July the 12th. And many people from my neck of the woods Kind of way have different feelings about that just thought I'd slip that one in. We've got a track coming up next on the show for you, and this one here is from Van Morrison from Belfast. We got lots of great poets, coming out of Belfast, and songwriters like Van. Van Morrison has been around the music scene for over 4 decades, and he's produced some wonderful albums and songs, and he's still writing. So obviously, he is on a world stage a superstar and will be remembered for many things. He was with a band, Them, that's where he started off, and Them had a couple of hits, but Van was going somewhere else. He went to America and he released Brown Eyed Girl and went to the top of the charts. So the band never forgive Van, for leaving them, because he was going somewhere, and he didn't want to take anyone with him. He didn't want any excess baggage. So off he went to America, where he made his fame and fortune. So we're going to have a listen to one of Van's songs from the Avalon Sunsets album. This one is Contacting My Angel. Following that, we'll have a Belfast poet. I think we better introduce some Belfast poets this evening to you. There's quite a few, Derek Mahan and Lewis McNeice, to mention a few. And writers from the north also have come through in recent years, a change in their direction of writing, where they have found a different level in their writing of poetry. I think we might have a listen to Derek Mahan, a disused shed in County Wexford. Derek Mahan from Belfast. We'll have a listen to that after this track from Van Morrison from the Avalon Sunset, Contacting My Angel.
I've been on a journey up the mountainside, and I drank the water from the stream.
It was pure water. So radiant, and he was the youth of eternal summers and like a sweet bird of youth in my soul, 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 in my soul.
A Disused Shed in County Wexford by Derek Mahon. Even now there are places where a thought might grow. Peruvian mines, worked out and abandoned to a slow clock of condensation. An echo trapped forever, and a flutter of wildflowers in the lift shaft. Indian compounds where the wind dances, and a door bangs with diminished confidence. Lime crevices behind rippling rain barrels, dog corners for bone burials, and in a disused shed in County Wexford. Deep in the grounds of a burnt-out hotel, among the bathtubs and the wash basins, 1,000 mushrooms crowd to a keyhole. This is the one star in their firmament, or frames a star within a star. What should they do there but desire? So many days beyond the rhododendrons, with the world waltzing in its bowl of cloud. They have learnt patience and silence, listening to the rooks querulous in the high wood. They have been waiting for us in a fetor of vegetable sweat since Civil War days, since the gravel crunching interminable departure of the expropriated mycologist. He never came back, and light since then is a keyhole rusting gently after rain. Spiders have spun, flies dusted to mildew, and once a day perhaps they have heard something, a trickle of masonry, a shout from the blue, or a lorry changing gear at the end of the lane. There have been deaths, the pale flesh flaking into the earth that nourished it, and nightmares born of these and the grim dominion of stale air and rank moisture. Those nearest the door grow strong. Elbow room, elbow room. The rest, dim in a twilight of crumbling utensils and broken pitchers, groaning for the deliverance, have been so long expectant that there is left only the posture. A half-century without visitors in the dark. Poor preparation for the cracking lock and the creak of hinges. Magi, moonmen, powdery prisoners of the old regime, web-throated, stalked like triffids, racked by drought and insomnia. Only the ghost of a scream at the flash bulb firing squad we wake them with shows there is life yet in their feverish forms. Grown beyond nature now, soft food for worms, they lift frail heads in gravity and good faith. They are begging us, you see, in their wordless way, to do something, to speak on their behalf, or at least not to close the door again. Lost people of Treblinka and Pompeii. Save us, they seem to say. Let the God not abandon us, who have come so far in darkness and in pain. We too had our lives to live. You, with your light meter and relaxed itinerary, let not our naive labours have been in vain.
That's read by Rory Quinn, a piece there entitled The Disused Shed in County Wexford, which is the work of Belfast poet Derek Mahan. Derek Mahan was from working class parents in Belfast. His grandfather worked at the shipyard. His father worked at the shipyard. His mother worked in a local linen mill. And during his childhood, Derek said that he became somewhat of a solitary dreamer, comfortable with his own company, but aware still of the world around him. And he was interested in literature from a very early age, and he attended Skegnall Primary School and then to the Royal Belfast Academical Institution. Derek Mahan's collection of poetry is quite interesting. We'll have another piece from Derek, which is entitled Everything is Going to Be All Right, and it's read by Neil Tobin, Irish actor and stand-up comedian. A very interesting poet, modern day writer, Derek Mahan. He's got a biography of I guess he's a living person, so that's nice to have a selection of his biography out there while he's still alive. And coming up in Belfast, you could either do two things. You could pick up a pen or pick up a gun. A lot of people picked up a gun, but many people as well picked up a pen and started to write about how they felt about life and about what they were going through. So Derek Mahan is one of those kind of people. We'll have a listen now on the programme to Mary Black from Dublin, and a lovely song called Shine, which is written by David Gray, which he wrote and put on an album, The White Ladder, and he became an Ireland adopted son. A lovely song. Following up, we might listen to that other piece of poetry from Derek Mahan, Everything is Going to Be All Right. So for your pleasure, here we have Mary Black and Shine.
See it in your eyes, what I know in my heart is true, that our love it has faded like the summer run through. So we'll walk down the shoreline one last time together, feel the wind blow our wandering hearts like a feather. Who's waiting in the wings of time? Dry your eyes, we're gonna go where we can shine. Don't be hiding in sorrow or clinging to the past. With your beauty so precious, the season's so fast. No matter how cold the horizon appears, how far the first night when I held you near, you gotta rise from these ashes like a bird of flame. Take my hand, oh, we're gonna go where we can shine. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh, na 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 na. we struggle, for all we pretend. It don't come down to nothing except love in the end. And ours is a road that is strewn with goodbyes. As it unfolds, as it all unwinds, remember your soul is the one thing you just can't compromise. Step out of the shadows, you gotta go where we can shine. Oh, we're gonna go where we can shine. Na 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 na. Oh, na 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 We're gonna go where we can shine. We're gonna go where we can shine. Gonna go where we can shine. We're gonna go where we can shine.
It was packed, Bob, I tell her. Packed to the door.
For Josie, My Mother by John O'Donoghue.
Yeah, you're tuned to Craic With Mc. And we have next up. You're tuned to Craic With Mc here. Yeah. Hang on a wee second. That's better. Thanks for your company this evening on the show. We're now going to present you this piece of poetry from Derek Mahan, and Belfast poet. And this one here, Everything Is Gonna Be All Right. And it was written by Derek Mahan from Belfast. It's a short piece, but it's quite nice. And it's read by Neil Tobin, who is an Irish actor, and also he is a stand-up comedian and very funny man, Neil Tobin. So we'll have a listen to that. And following this piece of poetry, I'd like to play a track from Sinead O'Connor from Dublin. It's entitled "This Is to Mother You," and it's about not being loved by her mother. And in the song, she portrays, if she could only mother her mother and give the love to her mother that she always wanted to have herself. That's basically the message of the song. But first, before that, this piece here, Everything Is Gonna Be All Right.
Peter Street. A Drover by Padraig Colum.
How should I not be glad to...
Hang on a wee second. Sometimes, you have to press the right button. I've pressed the wrong button a couple of times there. And we don't sometimes realize how important it is to press the right button. I know that people who know my buttons always seem to press the wrong one. Everything is going to be all right. I have to tell you what, sometimes I have to button my lip, if you know what I mean. But buttons, what am I talking about buttons for? Oh yeah, here we are. Derek Mahan.
Should I not be glad to contemplate the clouds clearing beyond the dormer window?
Let's just take it back to the start there. We missed half of the poem. Everything is going to be all right.
Should I not be glad to contemplate the clouds clearing beyond the dormer window and a high tide reflected on the ceiling? There will be dying, but there is no need to go into that. The poems flow from the hand unbidden, and the hidden source is the watchful heart. The sun rises in spite of everything, and the far cities are beautiful and bright. I lie here in a riot of sunlight, watching the day break and the clouds flying. Everything is going to be all right.
This is to mother you, to comfort you and get you through when your nights are lonely, through when your dreams are only blue. This is to mother you. This is to be with you, to hold you and to kiss you too. For when you need me, I will do what your own mother didn't do, which is to mother you. All the pain that you have known, all the violence in your soul, all the wrong things you have done, I will take from you when I come. All mistakes made in distress, all your unhappiness, I will take away with my kiss. Yes, I will give you tenderness. For child, I am so glad I found you. Although my arms have always been around you, sweet bird, although you did not see me, I saw you, and I'm here to mother you, to comfort you and get you through when your nights are lonely, through when your dreams are only blue. This is to mother you.
Sinead O'Connor, and this is to mother you. Next up on the show is Sinead Lohan and The Fish, which is a song, but the words of the song are written by William Butler Yeats.
Although you hide in the ebb and flow of the pale tide, when the moon has set, the people of the coming days will know of the casting out of my net, how you've lived time's out of mind over little silver chords, and thought that you were hard and unkind, and blame you with many bitter words. Although you hide, in the ebb and flow of the pale tide, when the moon has set.
The mother. I do not grudge them, Lord, I do not grudge. My two strong sons that I've seen go out, to break their strength and die, day and a few, in bloody protest for a glorious thing. They shall be spoken of among their people. The generation shall remember them and call them blessed. But I will speak their names to my own heart in the long nights, the little names that were familiar once round my dead hearth. Lord, thou art hard on mothers. We suffer in their coming and their going. And though I grudge them not, I weary of the long sorrow. And yet I have my joy. My sons were faithful, and they fought.
Love me, never would you leave me. But the devil take that woman, for you know she treat me easy. Must you ring, dum-a-do-dum-a-da. Wait for my daddy, oh. Wait for my daddy, oh. There's whiskey in the jar, oh. 6 or maybe 7. In one Captain Farrell, I jumped up, fired up my pistols, and I shot him with both barrels. Mushering, dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Wait for my daddy-o. Wait for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. And some men like a fowling, and some men like to hear a cannonball rolling. But me, I like sleeping, especially in my mindless chamber. But here I am in prison, here I am with a ball and chain, yeah. Much a ring, dum-a-doo-dum-a-da. Wait for my daddy-o. Wait for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. And I got drunk on whiskey-o. And I love
That's the sound of Thin Lizzy and Phil Lynott on lead vocals there, and Whiskey in the Jar. And that heralded a change in traditional music to the direction of Celtic rock, as they called it back in the 60s. And Thin Lizzy went on to perform all over the world as an Irish rock band. That kind of launched their career, that song, Whiskey in the Jar. Before that was a piece of poetry, The Mother, read by Bertie Ahern. Bertie Ahern was an Irish politician, and he was involved with a lot of the changes at the time in the troubled years in Ireland, and he was elected to the Taoiseach leader of the Irish government in 1997, and then he was re-elected to Taoiseach in 2002. Born in Dublin in 1951, was elected by the Dáil Éireann in 1977 and became the leader of the Fianna Fáil party in 1994, and he was the Lord Mayor of Dublin between 86 and 87. And the piece that he read was The Mother, written by Padraig Pearse, Irish writer and Republican, and lost his life in the Irish uprising in 1916. Padraig Pearse, a name that echoes still in the 21st century. He received his education from the Christian Brothers, and he completed a degree of arts and law at the Royal University in 1901, and he became involved with the Irish language, led to the Gaelic League formation, and became the editor of its paper. He was involved with the provisional government as president, and then he was stationed at the GPO during the uprising in 1916. Finally, he got executed in Kilmainham jail in 1916. And one of his famous quotes: "While Ireland holds these graves, Ireland unfree shall never be at peace." It's almost time for me now to vacate the studio. I hope you've had a nice show with me here on the airwaves. I've enjoyed bringing the show to you, and I just looked at the time there. God, the time gets away quick. I was just starting to enjoy the show, and there's only 2 minutes to go. Look after yourself. See you next week. Here I'll leave you with Shane MacGowan and an Irish airman foresees his death. Shane MacGowan from the Pogues, and this was written by William Butler Yeats. So thanks for your pleasure and your company. It was lovely to have you. Take it easy during the week. And stay tuned for John Hibbard and the Blue Jazz coming up very shortly on your local radio. This is Paul McCann wishing you all the best. And if you're on the road now, listen to me, take it easy and get home safe.
I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight I do not hate, those that I guard I do not love. My country is cold-heart and crust, my countrymen cold-heart and poor. No likely end could bring them loss, or lead them happier than before. Nor law nor duty bade me fight, nor public men nor cheering crowds. A lonely impulse of delight drove this tumult in the clouds. I balanced all, brought all to mind. The years to come seemed waste of breath. A waste of breath, the years behind. In balance with this life, this death.